We had some technical issues there, but I have many things to show you today. First, a feature film project, just saying, by Blender Studio. Then, RC, release candidate of 5.2, should be ready for download. It means that you have 1 week to test before 5.2 comes out. Otherwise, you're probably going to be waiting for 5.2.1, like everyone else next month, and then 5.5, 5.2.2, and so on. And a few features, actually. There is not that many, but I think I have some like 20 something highlights. Among them, there is sequencer, paint stuff, modeling features, cycles, in a few more. Sequencer, for that sequencer is the biggest one. So there's a bit of everything to enjoy. To talk about the Blender Studio feature film, we have a guest here, actually. Blender Studio what are you? General Director?
General Producer.
General Producer, Director, and Chairman of the Blender Foundation, Francesco City, you know already. So what is this? What happens?
Yes. So, well, thank you for having me. I just dropped by Pablo's office to let him know that we've been working for the past few weeks on preparing this announcement for everybody about this feature film project. And I wanted to kind of drop by now to just share that this is happening, and it's like really exciting, and there is a lot of things to talk about. And obviously the idea is not to hijack the entire Blender today, but since I was here, I was like, hey, at least we can go through it together. The idea is, if you go on studio.blender.org, you can find a lot of information already, but the main point is that it's been 20 years that Blender Studio and the Blender team makes open movie projects, and there has always been, as part of the kind of the goals of the studio, to do storytelling, and to do storytelling also at a more ambitious scale, something that goes beyond short films. And we've tried in the past to do these kind of projects, and there is like a lot of history there and lots of things that we can talk about. But I think that also we learned a lot of lessons. Blender has grown a lot as a tool, but also as a team, as a project, and it feels like this is a good moment to try and do this type of project. So we are basically sharing it with the community, and we want to do a few things different from what we've done in the past, to really try and be even more open and make this more accessible from the very beginning, what we are doing. So what we do now is sort of a funding campaign that is tied to the early development of the film. So this is an article that says, okay, we are announcing the project, and then if you click on the learn more about the program, you can see there is a landing page with a whole backstory. So we've been making films, we want to do this, and we need more Blender Studio subscribers to make this possible. But why are we doing this? Actually, it's not just because of wanting to make a film. Like, the idea is to fill a gap that we know there is in the filmmaking landscape, which is, of course, Blender is a great tool. You can use it to make a lot of stuff, but when you are working with the team to make something larger, when you're using Blender in the context of a larger production, it's not just about Blender. It's a lot about the tools around the software, and a lot of the know-how around the software to enable small teams to work together and to be productive and to do work at a larger scale than like a short film or like a short form piece of content. And that's the kind of know-how that usually stays within studios, and that is the kind of know-how that is really hard to earn and hard to learn unless you do it yourself. And the idea of making this kind of production is that we want to make sure that this knowledge and these tools are available for everyone as free and open source software.
Exactly. So kind of like how you can only learn production by doing productions. This would be like the ultimate tutorial to make a feature film.
Basically,
how to make it, like, if the donut is 14 episodes, how many do you think?
It is gonna be like several months worth of episodes.
Yeah.
And so there is really, again, a lot to see. So here what you can see on screen is like a sneak peek of the look of the film. So this is kind of part of the early visual exploration that we're doing.
So this is painted, or a mix of combination of art
So this is a render, and then the characters have a little bit of a touch-up because we are still going through the shading process. But like this is actually how how it looks like, and we even put together just today an announcement video, which is super fun. I think it tells a little bit the story, and it also shows you a sneak peek of more of the artwork. But we are at the very beginning. So in the coming weeks, there is going to be more material shared, and you know, whoever subscribes and supports us get access to a lot of the making of and a lot of the updates. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's very exciting to try to do this, and I think really the impact again is around the making sure that with Blender, and you know, with the human creativity and the human ingenuity, and you know, making as people working together, that we can make this possible. So yeah,
we can make this grow into a project.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is actually I just put it in because Andy finished the render just like some time ago, and you can see this is it.
There's a render. Yeah. Nice.
So
okay, so yeah. What's next? What can we expect?
So I mean, in the coming weeks, we will really try and be very visible with this. So to share more work in progress, to reinstate this goal and this the purpose of the project. Because I think, you know, when you want to make a film, you want to talk about, okay, it's going to be a nice story. Yes, of course. What is the story about? Well, we can talk a little bit about that. But then again, a lot of people care about what's in it for Blender, what's in it for me. So what do you get? So to really make sure that it's clear, what do you get? And this page already does give an overview. So, you know, if you keep scrolling, then you can see, okay, there is the topic of productivity tools and the production training and knowledge. So we will really try to make good examples and to make it visible for everyone. And just, yeah, this is a timeline. Yes.
But no, but I even besides the tutorial on how to make a feature film, Blender will definitely get features for, I mean, we already have projects in 5.3. I guess the team is gonna be using that,
yeah, I hope
and
so,
adding more to it. So
yeah,
the scope of a feature film will definitely affect Blender.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about features and development, and you know, how to make it visible on the Blender development side, the impact that working on a project like this can have on Blender. It's at this stage, of course, we can already say some things that, you know, we do know. Having Blender development happen will definitely help, and vice versa. A film is like a really ambitious and large scale project. So one thing that, you know, at some point maybe we can have a, you know, a more in-depth chat is about how do we set this up? How do you fund it? Because the funding of the subscribers, the people that help us, is going to help us to kickstart this, but then to achieve the full scale, you need more than that. And how do you distribute the effort and the funding towards making the actual film versus developing the technology, sharing the technology? That's like a balance that we want to find. So we talk a little bit about it in the page, but there is definitely more that can be shared there.
So nice. Just by skimming through it, there is like, okay, storyboarding, right? Blender, that's super nice.
Yeah.
And then you go into like rendering, Flamenco, also a Blender project for rendering stuff. And then you go into Watchtower, also another project. If you didn't know, watchtower.blender.org. Another project that is open source and is tied to Blender, but it's for storytelling, for filmmaking. And then back to Blender. So nice.
Yeah, and then like the whole, you know, I wanted to show Matt's rigging framework, Cloud Rig, which is the one of the most crucial things when you're working on this kind of productions, is like, how do you make sure that you have a robust character pipeline, a character setup, a character toolkit in a way that allows you to have high quality characters in the quantity that is also needed for this kind of production, and that you can, you know, that you don't have to rebuild a framework every time. There's actually something accessible. So like, you know, CloudRig is also available on the extensions platform, and it's, you know, free and open source. Is the pipeline, yeah.
Putting it together. That's a pipeline, of course. You're thinking, okay, nice. Yeah. Okay, cool. So
yes, that's it. There is more to come. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I hope that you know, people sign up and support us, and maybe in a couple of weeks in the next episode we can have a check-in and see how that's going. And yeah, there will be a Blender release out. There will be lots of stuff. So,
oh yeah, next week I heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless
no. How's those release notes coming? All right, thank you for having me, and enjoy the show, guys.
All right. that was Francesco with some updates from the Blender Studio. So make sure you follow them on the socials in general, everywhere, because they will be sharing more updates. And if you want to see this project grow, overgrown, make sure to subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, it's awesome. The number is not that ambitious either. It's like 5,000 subscribers currently, and it needs to go up to 7,000 to make it happen. So it's not like too much. So hopefully the artistic side of it makes it easy. I know that sometimes it feels like we're asking too much, like Blender development fund, and then now this project. But they're different things towards a greater good, Blender being awesome. That being said, I think it's time for you and I to, see what is new in Blender today. So okay, let's see. Let's start with the with actually let's start with C for the compositor. There's nothing in the A. Remember, we do this in order, alphabetical order. So these are the changes between June 25th and July 9th. Today, happy to every Argentinian watching. Feliz Día de la Independencia, Independence Day for Argentinians. And good luck to Morocco and French today in the World Cup. All right, Compositor. There is a new node. It has been migrated from other places. The Bitmath node, geometry nodes version basically has been added to the Bitmath node by Chris Ivanna. Thank you. Let's see what else in Paint. This is a bug fix, but it's worth showing. So this bug report, very nice bug report, by the way, it's very descriptive. It's just like the in-paint node does not work properly with these specific color spaces. So this is what you would expect, that the node itself expands and tries to in-paint to fill up the empty spaces in the compositor. But this is what you would get. It wouldn't work in some color spaces, but now it does, thanks to a fix by Omar. So thank you both for the very nice bug report and the fix by Omar. Another node was ported by Chris. The Matrix SVD node has been ported over. The implementation tries to match as much as possible the CPU and GPU implementation, so they fit. Next, wow, you will notice that your Blender, your favorite 3D software, is in the Compositor tab. There is no longer, and this is a big moment, there is no longer a viewer node. What? The viewer node is still there. You can still have one to many viewers if you want, but it's not there by default. Why? Because now you don't need it anymore. Because when doing compositing, if you're using the backdrop, Blender will default, or the backdrop or the image editor for preview, the backdrop will default to the result that you have. So if there is no viewer, we'll go back to the render result. Yay, simpler and more, less nodes to deal with. You don't have a viewer unless you need it. Like the millions of blend files that there are out there with viewers that are no longer needed. Let's see what else is new here. We will jump into C4 cycles. Yeah, two changes. One change. This is related to, remember last time we talked, we seen each other. There was an improvement in terms of memory savings or also how much cycles could execute at once without failing. Compiling too many shaders used to be an issue. Well, still an issue, but now Cycles is smarter and tries to only compile what's needed, which means you can have much bigger scenes. So this is on top of the previous change, and this means that for all the issues where what used to take or even overflow, and then it was fixed to fit into 164 shade, let's call it shader calculation. Now it's 35. So you can have a scene that is yeah, like 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 5 times bigger, and it will still have room to spare in some hardware. So that's so cool. That's so nice. We went from can't render to bring it on 5 times as big in terms of complexity of the scene. So cool. So thank you, Brecht, for working on this on your own engine. Thank you, Brecht, for making cycles and keep making it better. The other change comes from NVIDIA, but this is a general change. It's related to a few things that we've seen before that I like to mention. I like to highlight that, hey, they're adding these passes for denoising, but they're not doing anything with it yet. So I think this is related to the long-awaited DLSS. Still not there, but the baby steps are in there by adding these passes. The pass, this is a specular motion vector pass to be used by denoisers. Nice. Denoisers in general, not DLSS, but not just DLSS, but in the future other ones, which is so nice. Okay, what else? Let's move on. There's not much more in terms of, well, dependency. Actually, there is one change in dependency that I didn't mention, but I'd like to thank Jonas for updating it. The manifold library that Blender uses for many things, among them booleans, the boolean modifier and all, I think some operators too in sculpting, has been updated from 3.41 to 3.52, which brings some memory usage fixes. So nice. And there's so many fixes. Actually, there's been like, out of 300 something, about 200 were just fixes. That's because we are close to release with 5.2. It's amazing. Okay, let's see. What else is new here? Oh, G4 geometry now. Just one change, but worth mentioning. It's the propagation selection in point distribution. Now it's properly done, apparently, and it should use less memory and be faster to propagate selections. Nice. So thank you, Hans, for that. Let's move into I/O. Yes, in I/O, input output, import export. Two changes related to GLTF. The first one is that animation pointer option is now enabled not just for scene but on all the other modes. Then enable extras animation pointer for int, float, and boolean modes types. And material exporting is much faster. In some tests, what used to take 39 seconds is now less than 1 second. That's nice. Refactoring and some caching added to material export. So cool in this example file. And let's see. So thank you, Julian, for fixing and improving GLTF. Next, in Keymap, one change to the Keymap. There is a new shortcut that you need to learn. I'm kidding. You don't need to, because it's a shortcut that exists elsewhere, which is Shift-A for adding strip modifiers. This is a shortcut that already exists. Maybe not many people are aware of it, but if you are in the add modifier, like if you have an object and you're in the modifiers tab, you can do Shift-A to add a modifier. So Shift-A, in the same way that you can do Shift-A in the viewport, it works here. This wasn't working in the video editor until now. So if you have a strip and do Shift-A, it will bring up the add modifier. So an old shortcut for an old solution. So thank you, Nika, for adding that. Next, in M4 modeling, there is one more feature from Loop Tools that made it into Blender built in, which is Relax. Take it easy. How old is that song? Does it show how old am I? What was that? It wasn't Mika, was not Nika, Mika, right? The singer, the performance. Relax from Loop Tools has been added and now should be built in the same place as usual. the same options as usual, but it should work as expected. The iterations has, yeah, unfortunately that's not a, it's an enum with numbers of iteration, which is a bit strange, right? It should be maybe there must be a reason why it's not just a selector. And eek, oh my god, did I see a non-capitalized word in the Blender UI? Heart attack, space evenly, is that correct? Yeah, so let's see. So this is where I go to space evenly, and then I see, oh, okay, so it was fixed. It was just not fixed in the space even. Maybe someone mentioned it in that image. It was wrong in the video, but it's now in Blender. So cool. So thank you, Tariq, for working on this. Let's see. 2007. Thanks, Bart, for the and iteration is also an int now. Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Bart, for being there moderating, and also for your help today with the notes.blender.org website, where I gather all the notes for this show. Speaking of not notes, but know this. In N for notes, we have two changes. One, support renaming some sockets with double click. So now you can double click in some items and some more items, because it was already possible in some places, and now you can just simply double click. It's a bit of a bit, well, is this eventually gonna work everywhere? Because it's a bit inconsistent. You don't, like, users don't know when. Should we have like a hover effect maybe when you can? Maybe shall we change the cursor beforehand, or eventually everything would be editable anyway, so I might as well just not highlight it. Oh wait, great minds. Thank you, W Cloud. Already apparently there is some highlighting planned by Jack 2 years ago, so high hopes for this to make it. Interesting. Okay. So there's some discussions going on here 2 years ago. Maybe we can bring this back into discussion. I think I'm gonna leave this tab open all the way there. Nice. Let's see. And the other improvement by Habib, this is a bit of a quality of life, because it makes it so when you drag a link of a link that it has operations compatible with the math node, the compare options, like compare operations, are not going to be available in the shader editor because they are not made to work in there yet. And they were showing up, so it's a fix. Actually, it's not so much of a feature, but it makes it less confusing. Another way of fixing this will be to actually bring over the compare options to the shader nodes. Okay, let's see. Next, P for paint. Yes, there are new features in paint. Vertex and weight painting now support auto masking. Wow, that's, I didn't know. Unexpected. The masking options for topology, mesh boundary, cavity, view normal, and area normal now are supported for vertex weight and weight paint. Oh, that's cool. So you could paint colors or weights in like the crevices or the cavities only, or the non-cavities only. That's so cool. Can I see a video? Is there a video somewhere? No. Okay, never mind then. Well, there was a video here somewhere. Just screenshots. Anyway, this is the one you know and love. Auto masking options, remember, just to refresh the memory, are in, for example, sculpting mode. In the panel here, auto masking. And topology means that it's gonna, if you have two meshes that are part of the same object but two different islands, when you sculpting one, it will auto mask everything else. For example, face sets is for face sets, the ones you add in the with the tools themselves. Mesh boundaries is the edges. Face sets boundaries, same but for face sets, cavities, view normal, and area normal. View normal is from the view, area is calculated around where the stroke starts. That is all. Mini tutorial. Okay, let's this is awesome. Actually, it's great to see this in well, it's great to see painting updates, and this is part of a bigger task, part of the 3D texture paint mask and selection options. Auto masking, I think we should update this. I can poke John on the chat later. What else? That's it, actually. Some refactors, some releases. Yes, we're in release candidate. And time for you and interface, user interface. There are a number of icon changes. Yeah, mostly in the sequencer. And well, actually all across Blender. I made a PR that affected 100 files. Icons. So what are these icons? Well, the icons for the sequencer strips was a bit all over the place. Blender itself and add-ons, of course, didn't have access to a strip icon, like sequencer strip icon. There was no one. There was sometimes using the sequencer editor icons, sometimes the sequencer strip duplicate, or the meta strip. It was all over the place. So now there is a dedicated strip icon, strip data icon, which is usually the outline version. Strip duplicate has changed. Now it has these two, one outline and one highlighted, which is similar to the copy paste, and the modifier one, which is already there. These are the new icons, and also is now shown here in orange in the sidebar. So it makes it so much easier. Let me show you to see at a glance, because the strip itself, the strip tab here, is kind of the equivalent to the object level in a 3D object, right? So it's orange. Nice. So easier to spot. And it also makes a nice combination, orange and teal and blue here. So nice. What else has changed actually? More icons. There are new status icons. So in Blender 5.3, and this is one of the latest new features that got added to 5.2 last week. It's not illegal. It's for a good reason. When you assign a icon, if Blender doesn't find that icon, it just fails the whole thing. So if you have an add-on that uses an icon and the icon got removed or renamed, then that link is lost and the whole script will fail. And it could even, the rest of the UI in Blender could have errors because of that. And it's just the way it works. I asked once, it's like, can we show a broken icon? Like, can we show another icon instead of just failing the whole the whole UI? But it's hard to do apparently. So these icons, I wanted to have them for 5.3. That was the main reason, because we didn't have a dedicated info, warning, or error icons. The info, people were using the info editor icon, which is also wrong, because if one day we change the editor icon, then yeah, we would be changing the UI of many other add-ons. Warning, this used to be called error. So developers were using the same icon for both warning and errors, and they're different. An error means something is broken. A warning means something might be broken, but hey, or just, might be slow, or anyway. And now there is a dedicated error. And for each one of these icons, there is also a field version, which is the more contrasty one, in case you want to use it for, grab attention, or have it under with a different background, or on top of a thumbnail, for example. So yeah, these are the icons that got introduced. They are available in Blender 5.2, but they're not used by Blender in 5.2. This is so when you, for example, if you are a developer making an add-on for Blender 5.3 and you're using these icons, then because of this being available in 5.2, it means that your add-on could run in 5.2 and it's not going to crash. So it was added for a reason, for compatibility, just to make life easier, less crashes, and happier Blender users. So these icons have been replaced all over the interface in this big PR that I mentioned before, with 100 files changed. They're all over the place. Sometimes they are in the nodes, for example. There's this warning types. Now you have this dope sheet info as a browser icon. So yeah, they're everywhere in Blender. It was impossible to make a screenshot of every place. So that was it, actually. Then in tooltips, the disable label in tooltips has been removed. So it used to look like this, where Blender would tell you the definition of a tool and then disable, like a reason for it to be disabled. But it looks weird. I don't like having the word disabled there. It's just adds noise to it as well, while the text is already read, so it's readable. And that has been removed, and now is also a bit more spacing, so it's easier to read. So before, after, it's red. Come on, that tells you something. And what else? The nodes editor, and well, everyone in Blender, the delete option in context menus or menus in general has been placed last, so it's easier to reach and consistent with everywhere else in Blender. This wasn't the case in some places, and it's still being worked on. I think the markers and some other menus are still missing the update, but it will be done soon. Then wait, there is more. Hey, people who like customization, you will be glad to know that you may have noticed that the file browser was one of the places where you couldn't customize much. You could change the background, text color, and the highlight color for selected files, and that's it. No rounding, no highlight when the object is active compared to non-active. And now it is, because it is now using the same colors as the regular lists. So for example, the lists in Blender, this like UI list and tree view lists, these colors are now used in the file browser. So now if you change these things like roundness, for example, by default it looks pretty much the same. You're not going to notice a difference. I mean, I think it's just a bit lighter and the color is slightly different, because before the color of the text was the same regardless of it being active or not, for example. And now it's not. Actually, now you can have a completely different color when something is active or not. For example, this is much darker than when it's active. You can change the color of the icons too. Now this used to be hard-coded to white, 0.6 transparent, like 60% transparent, or opaque, 60% opaque. Anyway, it was hard-coded. Not anymore. Now you can control that and make your Blender really ugly if you want, with gradients. It even supports gradients for the highlights. The same for here, for the file browser in view mode and in list mode. So roundness and shaded supported, and the color is the item. You need to edit the item thing. Yeah, so that's it. More customization for Blender in general. I think I made a video here, but I don't think I make anything very groundbreaking besides making Blender super ugly and rounded, super rounded. Yeah, okay, that's it. I like it that now you can it also has a border now, so you can have a special outline only for active elements, which is actually a nice addition, because for example, if you have an asset or some file that has a transparent thumbnail, if your object, your asset was blue, similar to the blue color that Blender uses for highlights, it would be hard to read. So now you can just basically make that transparent and only use the outline to highlight the elements in the file browser, which wasn't possible before. Super nice. And this also applies to the asset shelf. So it's same thing. And this has been tested with Blender Lite and with other light themes like this one, Kelstr. That's it. That is all for the UI. Last section of the day is video sequencer. We have a number of changes here. First, Blender video sequence workspace is going to look different because some changes have been done. So it used to look like, well, let's try to make it fit in the it used to look like this, and now it looks like this. What's the difference? Well, many. So well, no, this is the screenshot for the compositor. This is the new one. Okay, so it used to look like this, now like this. The main difference is that the sidebar go all the way down, so you can fit more things here. It's easy to fix, right? You can just expand it. Then why I'm not just showing you in Blender, actually, right here. There you go. Make the UI slightly smaller so you can see more in action here. So this goes all the way down, so you can fit more info. You can change it right away by just dragging and expanding it if you don't like it, or you can bring it down. There's also the new playhead with the time here instead of being at the bottom. I think this is more standard with other software as well that have the playback buttons up here. And that's it. There is a new workspace that was added. Well, this is also more zoomed in, so you don't look at a Brazilian amount of items and channels when you don't need it. And also there is a new workspace called compositing, which is by default set to the sequencer compositor. So if you already have some kind of item here, and the moment you select the strip, you can click on new and it will add a new modifier right away. So it's a bit faster to edit this way. So that has been changed, and now that you have a new Blender layout, you will be happy to learn that the scene strips now support thumbnails. This is huge. This is something that Blender everyone was waiting since forever. It's one of the biggest, it's one of the things that makes Blender different from other video editors, is that you can edit 3D, like the scene, directly within the same software. This it works in the same way as the regular thumbnails, right? The same options, and it uses the solid mode, so it's faster to render. So especially for things like grease pencil, storyboarding, this is amazing. So nice. That's it. Looks very small, but it's a huge feature. Let's see. Well, this is in addition to the other thumbnails, remember, that I showed last time. And the last feature, it's related to a project called ripple editing. This is very common in other software. Blender has some kind of ripple editing tools here and there. There is the box blade that was added in 5.0 or 5.1, and that's it. There's maybe a few other operators that work that way, but it wasn't very explicit. Now there is a new delete operator called ripple delete. What's the difference? Well, delete just, if you have two strips, you delete, leaves a gap, whereas ripple delete, it ripples the effect into the rest of the timeline. So you delete something here and everything comes and gets collapsed. This is very common in other software. This is not reinventing the wheel in any way. So yeah, it's as you expected, right? You delete something here and it will collapse it. That's it. You can find that in the right click menu ripple delete is right next to the delete option, and here is assigned to shift X. It's also shift backspace, I believe. Shift or alt back, well, it's one of those. Backspace. Maybe on a Mac it's different, but what you would expect. Well, actually, we can look at the Keymap here. We can look at this. This is free software. There you go. Delete, shift delete, shift X. Oh, the other one didn't get added. But I proposed it somewhere, did I? I think. So I think I approved a bit too quick. Yeah, I was suggesting to have shift backspace as well. Because that's what other software uses, and it's free, so might as well have alternatives that align with other software if we're going to introduce something new. So shift delete, shift backspace should be added, and then yeah, I was a bit too quick to approve that. All right, let's see. No, let's not see anything else, because we're over. It's done. No more features to highlight. Well, I mean, there's always feature, right? Like in the link, in the Q&A link, you will see the full list. There is so much. Like, look at the amount of Vulkan changes that were done recently. So there are, of course, and all the cleanups and refactors and fixes. So let's see if there is any questions actually in the post that I made in right click, no, it's not right click select, but BlenderToday. Let's go all the way down to the first question. How many questions are there? 7 only. So okay, so Lenovo Intel NUC asks, it links. So tell me you're not a bot without telling me. You tell me you're a bot without telling me. So a user with the name of a product by Intel, like NUC, post a link to a Blender developer profile issue, which is not found, and then a series of links to a 2012 item from 2012. Like, this is right after Cosmo. No, this is Tears of Steel times. Particle info now. This is so. I mean, I don't think it's relevant anymore, right? Like, Lucas working on physics, like fluid simulation physics with geometry nodes. So, yeah. Anyway, it's spam. I deleted the issue recently. Thank you so much. Yeah. I don't think we should even have issue trackers for the profiles separate, right? So then there is a video, particle info node test. Is a video, blender.org video from 7 years ago, but the video is probably older. Yeah, this is no longer like particle info node is no longer relevant. It's geometry nodes based. Everything else. Then the rest of the bot spam says overground Cosmos. Overground was covered already by Francesco, and then talk to developers about add particle system support for empty object. Particle system is end of life, and you can already create particles. Well, you can create points physics with empty objects using geometry nodes, which was added recently. But yeah, particle system is end of life, dear bot. Next. Winstream Pablo, hey, thank you. My question for you is, when will you texture streaming MIP mapping be added in Eevee? 5.3, 5.4? My blends are freezing my PC. So I asked when this was added, I asked Clément, the creator of Eevee, main developer also behind the engine, that he said it's possible. It's not it's not the crucial, it's not like a one switch but it might be possible in the future. So yeah, right now the 5.2 release is more of a fixed release, so let's hope this happens in the future. But yeah, I think the system, how it's built, is it's meaning to support it. Hola Pablo, says Pedro. Great news with the new feature film. Any chance we can also get more episodes of Caminantes? I wish, I hope. I think that train has, that metro has, not even a train. Hey, yeah, there is a train in the third episode of Caminantes. That train has sailed. Imagine for a train to sail away, it means that, I mean, I would love to, but I think it's one of those things that when I grow up and I'm able to animate, because like storytelling doesn't need to be super complex, right? Like, have you guys, like, I'm going on a here different direction here, but have you seen the lamp short by Pixar? Not the Luxo, but there is a short light bulb is called. Have you seen it? I'm not gonna show the whole thing, of course, but it's a short. Hey, this is the making of. It's Light Bulb by Pixar. It's a short film. That it's. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's just a few stills. Like, there's no frame by frame animation, super complex, super ultra difficult hours of render time. No, it's just great storytelling with just a few still images. So this is the kind of things that you look at and it's like, what? It's anyone can tell stories, anyone can cook, anyone can tell stories, but you need the talent to know how to tell a story. So who knows, maybe there will be stills that make a story one day. I would do anything but using AI for making a version of it. No. Next question, but thanks for the question for asking. David asks, hello Pablo, hope you're doing good. I hope you too. I have 3 questions. Number 1, right now we have keyframe for general things that have a yellow color. Yes, that's the active frame. What if we have different types of keyframe for different modes? For object mode yellow, and edit mode red, and blue mode. Well, there's no keyframes for edit mode. I mean, there's keyframes for shape keys, but then there's no for edit mode. Blue for pose mode. Well, I mean, if you're in pose mode, and things are yellow. Oh, you mean the keyframes themselves, like keyframe types, or what do you mean? Like when you add a keyframe, that you can set the key type to be like the next key type to be different colors. This is what you mean? Or am I, because I was thinking of this thing or this color highlighting. I don't think it should be different per mode though, because when you are in a mode, you are like, we have a keyframe in a mode and the object also has a keyframe. Which one wins? The mode, the active. Well, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I mockup would help. Thanks. Second question, in Grease Pencil default object we have 2 layers, one for line and one for color. Is it possible that we have a button that can add this kind of layer in other GP objects that we add later? Like presets, you mean? Well, that's not a bad idea. So let's watch out for light colors. There you go. So you mean that the same way we have lines and fills to add a new fill? I mean, but they're not that different actually. It's just the actually I don't think they have been many differences, right? They are the same default. Oh, you mean materials? These ones. This could be assets, but layers cannot be assets. So I mean they are identical. It's just so people, it's just the order so people can start right away to draw something with a different order, I think. Can we have a button for onion skin for all normal objects if possible? Yeah, more than a button is a lot of buttons. Onion skinning for objects, there are some add-ons that do it, but they don't do it. But it's a hack most of the time. So yeah, that would be great. I don't think the team is working on that at the moment because they're busy planning animation layers. much more awaited feature. There are efforts on motion paths. Onion skinning is in that realm. But yeah, no, unfortunately, I don't think anyone is working on that at the moment, but it would be great. I think everybody will love that feature. So if you are a community member and feeling inspired, that's a long-awaited feature. Elion says, hello, Pablo. I have one question. Will spatial hashing ever be possible in geometry nodes? It could significantly improve simulation performance by making self-collisions much faster and also accelerate operations like smoothing point positions by efficiently finding nearby points. I think spatial hashing, I think you know way more than I do at this point. It will be ever be possible. I think the team is really focused on performance. So if that is even possible, I think Hans would be the right person to reply here. And then, or I can ask them, but I'm sorry, I'm not prepared for answering this. Self collisions are not even possible yet, even that's why it's so fast. But I assume they have this kind of improvements in mind. Glenn says, hi Pablo, I'm feeling a bit down after trying so hard to try and make a useful line tool by myself for such a long time. If it's okay, can you please tell me where to find useful info on creating new modes for add-ons, not just objects mode or edit mode? I need to add an icon to both object mode and edit mode to get my line tool working. You mean you need a icon? You mean this guy, right? Like this. I would love to get some positive feedback on this new basic tool. Hope you can see the video in right click select. Working hard on making a new line tool. I just need a bit of help fixing the modes. I think in these cases, looking at other add-ons helps a lot. Even I mean, getting some support from some LLM that is morally, ethically sourced would help in these cases, because it's a tool that you really need for your own workflow. It's not like you're trying to, you know. So I think something like that is actually pretty looks pretty cool. For having this exposed in both modes, there must be tutorial out there. There's many add-ons, right? It's not possible, says Nick. Oh wow, wait for a new writing course add-on on Blender Studio. Do you know more about that, Nick? A new Blender Studio training for making add-ons and explaining things like this, or otherwise just looking at the way other add-ons are used, like tools, things that have tool in related to animation, pull tools, edit mesh tools. No, this is a really old one. Let's see. But yeah, sorry, no. Try Bull Tool has that. You can check it out. Actually, yeah, we have confirmation here by Nick, maintainer of the extensions platform, that you can check that add-on and use it as a reference. Remember that every add-on out there, pretty much every add-on is it's open source. You can get inspired. Namnabud says, hey Pablo, I haven't gotten around to making a bug report yet, but the movie clip editor might need a facelift. The movie clip editor needs more than a facelift. It needs a complete surgery clone. The data block needs to be renamed from movie clip to motion tracking data or tracker data, or like yeah. It needs more than facelift. The side panels aren't even transparent. No, actually somebody suggested that, and I think I even made a pull request for that, because it's very easy to make to make this transparent. It's literally one line of code to decide what becomes transparent or not. Like in this case, for example, the sequencer doesn't have that, so you don't have that. And some people suggested it. There was a PR, and some people were against it because it gets on the way, because it basically blocks the the content, but people didn't like it. So, you know, it also makes, yeah, I don't know. I personally liked it, but some people were against it. So when that happens, what's a suggested way to propose a facelift or a wider set of adjustments, such as for a module that needs some general TLC? A list of issues, a bunch of separate posts on a project? That's a good question. So I think not a lot of text, maybe some quick like issue. There are toolbars on both sides. Okay, what? Introduce, let's go to VFX. So this is the only editor that has actually a toolbar on each side, which is funny. But yeah, how would you tackle this? I think a list of proposals like UI, bullet point, unify tabs. I don't know. Introduce a new menu. Clean up the whatever menu. Things like that. I like. Don't write a whole proposal because it's gonna look like a huge Bible of wall of text that might push some people away. So bullet points, UI, bullet point, papa, features, this, naming. Maybe we need to rename it. Maybe it's because it doesn't even make sense that it's called movie clip editor. You cannot edit movie clips in there. You can't. You can only do the motion tracking. So I would even start from there. Point one, rename. Okay, that out of the way. Then yeah, etc. That's a good last question because that helps in maybe make these bullet points and then maybe make a right click select post that you can link to, go to the chat or go to the meetings for the VFX module. Do they even have meetings? I hope so. VFX and video. Yeah, but it's motion tracking. And when are the meetings? Good question. Maybe drop by compositing and ask Sergey, or someone else might let you know. Okay, that is all actually. Oh, I forgot to move to Q&A. So that's it. Then there is more question. Okay, let's try. I updated the page just so we can fit in more questions because there is 2 more. All right, let's do this. Oh, 1 more here. After Nana, but yeah. Okay. Hi Pablo. Does Blender have any plans to improve the native image sequence workflow for images and planes, especially timing, looping, frame offsets, and multi-layer animation? I've been developing frame by plane, frame Blender extension focused on image sequences, 2D animation, and multi-plane. It might be useful for anyone interested. Ooh. Can you use that picture in Walt Dintzy? Ah, nice. I like how we call it Walt Dintzy because that means that is not copyright infringement. Then wow, super involved. But I think this is more than just images as plane, right? Works like Blender's native images as plane, but built for animation, image sequences, and more. I think they both have their own, like it's not the same use case. Wow, it even has dependencies and all. Nice. So I think they complement it. They're not the same thing. They complement each other. If I just want a picture in the background, I shouldn't have to load a whole thing, right? Whereas image as plane is literally is an image as a plane, period. Some options like image sequence, maybe, but I don't know about this add-on that you have. But in that case, does it add an option there? So what was the name of the add-on again? It's like frame by plane. So images plane, frame by plane. So nice that I can just install random software on the, oh wow. Oh, it's an LTS. Nice, you have an LTS even. Feedback with the monkey, and that is so nice. This looks like DaVinci's wall of features. Even imagine one day you're gonna have proper line height and wrapping, label wrapping, maybe for 5.3. Hopefully we're gonna get texture wrapping. But yeah, okay, let's say got it. And then where is that? Is an image. Oh, you have your own. Well, because and you add it to the top. Sneaky. Okay, it's pretty big. It's pretty large. Yeah, you see, that's why images and like a mesh plane, it makes sense. It's just super basic, and then you can add more features like this. But don't use the compositor icon. Use your own icons, because it looks like we're gonna be using this compositor icon in other places. Well, we actually use it. It's a view layer icon, not even the compositor icon. But yeah, it looks like a nice add-on. Way more specific to animation than what the images as plane is intended for. The images plane add-on, though, it started as an add-on, and at some point when the extension platform was introduced, was like, okay, maybe so many people use it that we should just add it to Blender. So who knows, maybe this one day could be, but it's good that there is these alternatives that are way more specific to these workflows, because yeah, some people really rely on this. Okay, thank you. Oh, you're there in the chat. Nice. And HarryLens is also there. Nice. Multiplane. Okay, thanks everyone. Showing the icon page. Oh yeah. So at what's the name? Alessandro. There is a, by the way, I was looking at the chat. Alessandro, there is a page called ui.blender.org/icons that you can use to see the Blender icons that are available, and you can copy the name there. So if you say like, okay, layer, what do we have for layer? Then, well, maybe the grease pencil layer group is more fitting for this kind of 2D layer animation, right? Like this one. You can also link to an icon. You can download the SVGs. Super nice. Okay. Let's see. I found a Figma file with all the SVGs. The Blender SVG, that's illegal. The Blender SVGs are open source, and Figma files, I don't think so. I mean, nobody's gonna go to jail. Or is it? All right. Thanks everyone for staying until the end. I think it's been not super long. There are not that many new features. I should be working on the release notes for the next release on Tuesday. Blender 5.2 LTS. It's crazy that we are already at this stage. I hope it's gonna be the release that many people are gonna use for switching, especially people who've been waiting for Eevee next issues to be addressed, those that were introducing 4.2 LTS 2 years ago. I think it's a good release to make the jump. There's a lot of good stuff there. So thanks for staying once again. I will hopefully see you next time. When is the next time we're gonna meet? On the 20th. Wow, the next time we meet, Blender 5.2 will be released. The World Cup will be over for those who are following it. I hope with the good news. That is crazy. In just 2 weeks time. Yeah, and then we're mid-July, and then August. And by the way, are you coming to the Blender conference? There are still tickets. The presentations, most of the people who submitted presentations should have gotten a response. I think all of them. I think there's no more submitted ones. Any kind of response you should have gotten. So soon we will know which are the talks that we can expect at the Blender Conference 2026 in September in Amsterdam and on YouTube on this channel. That is all. I hope to see you around the next time we do another Blender Today. I think it's gonna be on a Tuesday. I don't have any more excuses. The last Tuesday I couldn't do it because Argentina was playing. Yes, I'm happy to have a job that I can say like priorities. Argentina plays at 6 p.m. I cannot do Blender Today at 5 p.m. So thanks people, everyone, for understanding. I will see you again next episode for another Blender Today live. Watch out your ear holes because last time they said it was loud. How is it today? Too loud? Okay. See you. Thank you. Bye.